happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. What's up, Michelle?
Nothing, Jenny. How are you?
I'm good. I can't believe that we're halfway through August, but I'm excited for some cooler weather.
Yes, me too. I know. I can't believe it. I was just actually thinking that the other day when I started the date. So normally, I think I was telling everybody that what I'll do is like in the beginning of the month, like I'll plan and like go through my budget. Actually, like didn't get to do it in the beginning of August, and I looked at my calendar over the weekend because I thought it was still like August 5th.
Of course.
I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I can't believe we're in the middle of August already.
So practice what she preaches, not what she does, y'all.
Exactly. No, a little behind.
I'm kidding.
A little behind this. I know. Yeah. So Jenny, you want to take us through this week's wine pick?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are still in summer, so we are drinking a lighter bodied white wine today. I promise you guys there is going to be variety on this show. I've been trying to take you guys regionally all over the place, but we will have red wines. We will go into a lot of other different regions, but I'm a seasonal drinker, as I firmly believe everybody should be, unless you're doing a pairing. So we're still talking about white wine. This one is going to be another French wine. It's from the Savoy. It's called Bourboulon, and it's going to be mainly Jacquard. A little bit of Altice in it, but mainly Jacquard. And Jacquard is going to be a really light, bright, vibrant grape. It's another, this one's done completely biodynamic. So it's going to be another alternative to somebody who's looking for like a Sauvignon Blanc or a Pinot or something that's going to be really crispy for a hot day. So definitely a really good option for you guys, and it's super affordable and it's very elegant. So again, one of those crowd pleasers that you can bring to a party with you and say, people will be like, oh, what is Jacquard? And you can say, well, it's actually from the Savoy, which is in France, and it's really, really delightful and zippy and elegant. So definitely a really, really good crowd pleasing wine.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Excellent. Perfect. Okay. Now let's get into our rose and thorn of the week. You want to go first, Jenny?
Okay. Yes. Okay. I'm going to try really, really hard not to go into a rabbit hole about my rose for the week. So I'll start with my thorn, which is that I've had really bad allergies. And this is something that I've constantly battled with, but it's like really bad this week. So y'all send a prayer for me, or I need to go get an allergy shot or something. There's got to be something that's done, because it's just like, I feel like my voice even sounds different. So I apologize for that. And my rose, you guys are going to laugh at me, but I have never been a Taylor Swift fan. Like, I've always respected her from afar. I've always thought, like, there's been a couple bangers that she's released that I've been like, you know what? Okay, I'll give it to her. But she's like exactly my age. And over the weekend, or a couple weeks ago, my brother was like telling me about how she was terrible and like, overrated, et cetera, et cetera. And I was just like feeling very combative about that and wanted to prove him wrong. So I ended up going on like a really deep dive rabbit hole about like every song she ever released, every album she ever released, like all the things that are on the internet about her. And I came away with like, not only like a newfound respect, but like an adoration for this woman and what she's been able to cultivate and create. And I think it's just because of how much of a savant she is from like a storytelling perspective. Mm-hmm. And also just like the body of work that she's been able to create and how often she's been able to reinvent herself. So I am blown away by her, and I like have not gone a single day since I've gone on that rabbit hole of not listening to her. And I've even gotten my husband converted over, and he's obsessed with her too. And now we're literally looking for tickets to go on her European tour.
I'm so jealous. By the way, I invited myself.
Yeah, Michelle's coming in her suitcase. So stay tuned.
I know, I'm so jealous. I want to go so bad. And
I'll give you some video footage of it.
Yes, you need to. Okay,
awesome. What about you, Mish?
Yeah, so let's see. So this is going to be very basic, and I'm sorry, but I am very basic. But today is actually the first day of pumpkin spiced coffee back at Dunkin'. So, and that means we are almost into fall, which is my favorite season for everything. So I can't wait to go, apple picking, pumpkin picking. in a few weeks. But I guess that is also kind of my thorn, being that there's only like 2 or 3 weeks left of summer left. I can't believe it. And I'm looking pretty like not tan. So I think I need to, you know, be in the sun for the next like 2 weeks and try to get a little
We need
tan.
to get Niche to that Equinox pool. I'm sure Chris will be
Yes.
totally fine with that.
Oh yes, he will be dragging me there. But of course, wearing my sunscreen, but I need to get a little more sun in the next few weeks.
Love it.
Yes. Okay, now our favorite time of the week, well, mine, of course, is our quote of the week, which is this week is life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. That was by Albert Einstein. I thought this was a really good quote for this week, especially in my life, because I feel like I'm on a really good cadence, like, between personal things like going to the gym. I've been going consistently now over the past few weeks. And then also with work, I feel like I've become in a good place and I'm really caught up with a lot of things. Just, always just keep reminding myself, to keep your balance. You just have to keep moving forward and being consistent with it.
I love that. Objects in motion stay in motion, right? Sometimes if
Yes.
you bring things to a halt, things can just get a little bit too overwhelming. And there is nothing better than the feeling of being in flow.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yes. Well, let's move on to this week's topic. So Jenny is going to talk to us a little bit about how to restructure your life to spend more time in your unique ability. And Jenny, I know that you have been going through a strategic coach and have learned a lot from it so far. Do you mind telling us a little bit more about strategic coach?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know Michelle and I have talked on here before about the importance of reinvesting some of the proceeds of your business into yourself and into your business. So last year, I decided to join Strategic Coach as, at the behest of my mentor, because he was saying, you've had a really successful year. It's time for you to level up to the next level of leadership so that you can continue to guide your company in the right direction. So Strategic Coach is Dan Sullivan's baby. If you don't know anything about Dan Sullivan, I highly recommend that you kind of go down the rabbit hole. He's written so many books and has so many overarching concepts on how to level yourself up as an entrepreneur. He's a successful entrepreneur himself, and just really a wealth of knowledge for, folks who are trying to get into that lane. So Strategic Coach, everybody has heard of the concept of having a business coach. Or maybe somebody that comes in as a consultant to help take a pulse on the business and give you guys some strategic aspects to kind of bring your business to the next level. Well, Strategic Coach, or what I refer to as coach, does the same thing, but it's more so for the entrepreneur themselves, right? Because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we get in our way more than we think we do. And there are a lot of things that we're doing personally that are affecting what we're doing on a business scale. And you really have to, as a CEO or owner of a company, you really have to take care of yourself first before you can put your business forward in a positive light. So what it is it's me taking a moment to take a step back and be really, really introspective, not only about my business goals and where I want to go in that direction, but also what am I doing for my own personal life? What am I doing when it comes to my health and my fitness? How am I taking care of, things that are necessary for me to continue to move forward? And I'm very new on my journey. I've been to 2 sessions. We do one once a quarter. And there are a lot of tools that they give you to make sure that you are, continuing on that journey and keeping it at the forefront of your brain as you move through our very, very busy lives. And so far, it's been really eye-opening. And I wanted to take the opportunity, since I am going through this course, to really share with you guys some of the basic tenets of it so that you can start to implement it in your lives. And when it comes to being an entrepreneur, obviously these tools are going to be very helpful, but also I find that the tools could be helpful to anybody who has things that are going on. I mean, like, we live in a society now where you don't just have a job and that's all you have to do.
Right.
It's not how our society is set up. There's so many other things outside of work that have to take place. And, time is a finite resource, and we have to make sure that we're maximizing it for our own mental health. So I find that a lot of the things that we're going to be going over today are going to be really helpful, even if you're not an entrepreneur yet.
Okay. Great. And today you wanted to talk to us a little bit more about your unique ability. Can you go into a little more about that concept and what is your unique ability?
Yeah. So this is something that like I'm a very type A person. I need to know the why behind the what type of
Mm-hmm.
person. And when I was first introduced to the concept of unique ability, I felt that it was a little bit too broad and a little bit too like woo woo, if you will. I couldn't really get behind the tactical aspect of it. And for me, that was a struggle at first. So essentially, the way that I like to think about this is your unique ability is, anything or something or whatever it is that you're doing in your day in day out lives that you uniquely can do, that you not only can you do it, but you excel at it and you love it. So what is it that you're doing in your daily life that you wish that you could do exclusively? And the interesting thing for me about unique ability is it's not just one activity for me. And it was hard for me to recognize at first because I spend so much of my time really doing a lot of things that are more necessary, especially in my business, that maybe I don't love doing them. So the unique ability is something for me that I am striving towards, categorizing the majority of my activities that I do in my professional and personal life. I want to put as much time into my unique ability as I'm doing anything else. And right now, before joining this program, I felt like a lot of that balance didn't exist. And the way that I was able to kind of go through an exercise with strategic coach to discern what my unique ability is you can really put largely a lot of the things that you're doing in your daily life into 4 buckets. One of them is going to be the unique ability, which is something only you are good at, only you can do, and that you love. The other category next to that on the right is going to be what they call the excellence category. And the excellence category is more stuff that you're really good at, but you're not necessarily in love with it, right? And then underneath that is going to be your competent area. And in that area, that's, you're okay at it and you definitely don't love doing it, but it's passable. And then lastly is going to be the incompetent bucket, which means that usually those are the things for me that just sit on my to-do list because I don't have the tool set to get it done and I haven't found a resource to delegate it to. So the goal of, essentially optimizing your unique ability is to move as much of your tasks and daily activities into that unique ability category. And for me, what I found when I did the exercise is that I was spending a lot of time in the excellence and competent category. And for me, I want to live an exceptional life. And that isn't good enough for me. So I have to really sit down and, be cognizant of the time that I'm spending and what I'm doing in that time period and try to reorganize things and move everything around so that I can actually spend a lot more time doing things that I love doing and doing things that only I can do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about how you recognize your own unique ability?
Yeah, so a lot of it is self-reflection, which is something that as an entrepreneur that we don't spend a lot of time doing. So I want to do everything I can every single day to make sure that I'm being very cognizant of what my strengths are and also reflecting on what I'm good at. And the way that I've been able to do that is to be, and a lot of people will say, you should have an attitude of gratitude and you need to write down things that you're grateful for every day. And I mean, this is kind of similar in the vein of what you're keeping top of mind. I try to every day think about how did I win today? What are the successes that I celebrated in my business and why was I successful at that? What was a successful encounter that I had with a friend? What was a successful encounter that I had with my husband? And I try to find common threads as I go through that self-reflection. And I think that a lot of times when you're successful at something over and over again without burning out, that's how I measure it, then usually whatever it is that you're doing brings you joy. So I spend a lot of time journaling and reflecting on those wins every day to make sure that I'm keeping that front of mind. And then, of course, I'm only human. So I can't do all of that on my own. I'm not going to be the most self-aware person on the planet with every single aspect of my life. So one of the things that actually my mentor took this step, and I have done so since, is reaching out to people that know you best and asking them, hey, Is there something that you've noticed that is a really big strength of mine? Like what do I excel at? What are the strengths that you identify in me as a partner, as a friend, as a colleague? And then, I mean, honestly, you guys would be really surprised at the feedback that you get. And then once you've received that feedback, you can really then use that to your advantage and come up with more things that you want to spend more time doing during that reflection period that you're actually asking yourself, hey, what do I want to spend more time doing? And for me, what I realized when I was doing the exercise is I spent a lot of time doing more technical work because I have a technical background. But I don't necessarily enjoy that as much as I enjoy, connecting with people, establishing relationship, creating content that I know is going to help people on their journey, and speaking to an audience of people that I wish that I had when I was going through similar hurdles. And those, for me, that's what I want to spend all of my time doing. So I'm going to systematize as much of my life and outsource as much of the things that don't align with that to make sure that I can make that happen.
Interesting. Yeah, self-reflection, is very important. I know we've talked about it a few times now, but
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are some challenges and tools that you've picked up, so far that you've used in this journey to restructure your life?
Yeah. So I think first and foremost, it's the first challenge that I encountered with regard to this, and I think a lot of people would encounter, is identifying what your unique ability is. And the only way you can do that is literally sitting down and writing down all the things that you do on a day in and day out basis, not only in work, but in your relationships, and then categorizing them that way. Another hurdle that I ran into was my incapability of delegating. And I know that we have talked about that a lot on this podcast, and there are tools that you can have with regard to, getting better at delegating. And honestly, the thing that you have to understand whenever you start a journey like this, and when it comes to delegating, is it gets worse before it gets better. And there's going to be a lot of time that you have to spend on the front end to make it worthwhile in the back end. But you have to ask yourself, like, what's the end game, right? If you don't teach somebody how to do the things that that no longer bring you joy, then you're going to continue doing that until you burn yourself into the ground. And I'm somebody who's very familiar with burnout. I've dealt with it a ton in my career, and I do everything in my power now to stop it dead in its tracks. So you have to make sure that you have a game plan for what that looks like. And when it comes to delegating, you need to find out what resources are available to you to help make that easier. And then some of the things that have come up as I do this is, addressing fear and self-doubt, because it's like a lot of the things that I really love doing are a lot scarier than the things that I resort to because I'm comfortable doing them. So I have to spend a lot of time building myself up and realizing that the big things that I want to do and the big things that I want to accomplish are going to be scarier than what's my comfort zone, but what's going to optimize my happiness and my health for the long run. And it's not staying in my comfort zone, right? That's where things go to die. So I have to be super, super cognizant of, how do I get myself out of this rut? I know that this is going to be hard, at least initially, but in the end, I'm going to feel so much better if I just take a risk and go for it. And then, really another thing that I've been doing, what I call it like the strip it down, right? I write down all the things that are essentially a time suck right now. And then I ask myself, like, what of these things is urgent? What's important? What am I doing out of habit that doesn't serve anybody? And what can I have somebody else that really loves doing this? What can they take off my plate? So those have really been, the biggest tools. But then also, we've talked about this again, like the power of saying no. I am such a people pleaser, and I'm a recovering people pleaser, right? I have to tell myself, why am I saying yes to this? Is this even something that I want to do? So I've spent a lot of time doing that, and then creating plans to restructure my time and my priorities, and setting boundaries with people to protect the energy that I have, whether it's physical energy, whether it's mental energy, all of these things, like, they're being depleted on a daily basis. So you have to make sure that you're filling your cup and putting yourself in a position where the energy that you have is being spent on the things that you actually enjoy. And I have found in my life that I actually do the opposite. I get done what needs to get done, and all of the stuff that I want to do that actually fills my cup and makes me feel creative and makes me want to continue to move forward, I continually put that on the back burner. So you have to flip that script. And that's something that the program of Strategic Coach has really put into me in terms of like deprogramming myself and then reprogramming it to where, am I taking actions and steps today that are going to align with what I want my life to look like in 5 years? Or am I being reactive in doing what I think is necessary in this moment to get through the day?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. Just can you tell us a little bit about, the benefits of living a unique ability-centric life?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is like the whole purpose, right? So what is it that we're trying to accomplish and what is it that we're trying to get done in life? All of us just want to be happy and healthy and to put ourselves in a position where we go to bed at night and we are fulfilled with what took place during the day, right? For me, my story has been very, very at the forefront of my brain at all times, because when I started out in my career, I know I've talked about this before. When I started out in my career, I was, living to work every single day. And I'm someone who really, really cares about hard work and success and continually challenging myself. And I love that. And my first job out of law school almost took that away from me. It had me, questioning everything. It had me thinking like, oh, maybe I'm not cut out for this. And I actually don't like working hard and I don't like achieving and I don't like success. And that's not the case. It's just, I was going about it in the incorrect manner. And I was, reaching peak burnout on a day in and day out basis. And I felt stuck because I was so new in my career. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I want to live an exceptional life. I want to achieve peak performance in every aspect of my life, not just in my business, but in my personal life, in my friendships, in my volunteer work, whatever it is that I'm pursuing. I want to achieve excellence in all of those categories. So putting the time on the front end to really think about how can I restructure my life today to spend more time maximizing those activities versus the ones that drain me and make me feel stuck pays so many dividends in the long run. And honestly, I'm super passionate about this. And I think that for me, I want to do everything I can to restructure my life so I never feel stuck again, because you never are stuck, right? There's always opportunities for you to put yourself in a better position. It's just that sometimes you don't feel like you have the resources available to you. And that's a journey that I had to go on alone. So I'm super passionate about making sure that I'm providing any insight that I've garnered over the years, whether it's using tools like this or, meeting other people who have provided insight. And I think that if you spend time to think about what your unique ability is and how to move more of your day-to-day activities into that bucket, I mean, not only is your professional success going to level up, but also your personal relationships and your overall quality of life. So that's something that I work towards every single day, and I'm not perfect at it. I mean, I definitely fall short. There are days when I'm like flailing around and I'm like, oh my God, I'm being completely reactive today. And I'm not practicing what I preach, so to speak. And that's okay, right? Like,
yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
We've talked about this before, Mish, like, a lot of those memes that you see or those soapboxes that people stand on where they're like, oh, you have to wake up every day at 5 a.m. and otherwise you're not going to be successful. And the fact of the matter is, like, life is just like anything else, right? Like, even when you're on a diet and you're super regimented, you're going to have a cheat day. So just kind of like learning how to talk to yourself on days like that. Or maybe it lasts longer. Like, I'll be fully transparent with you guys. I'm kind of in a rut right now when it comes to working out. And that's okay, right? It's like sometimes our bodies mandate that we take a break. And instead of like beating myself up about it and not achieving in other areas, I'm not going to let that bleed over. That's something that I'm going to work towards on a concerted level. Maybe not tomorrow, but I will at some point, right? Because it's important to me.
Right. And can you share some ways that you've seen yourself doing where, say, you are stuck in that rut or experiencing, those doubt and self-fears? How can you, work on it to change your day around or change your mood around?
So for me, I'm a huge fan of Mel Robbins. I don't know if you guys have heard of her. If not, definitely give her a follow. Read her book. She has so many resources that are available to you. She's also a recovering lawyer, so a lot of connection points for her and I there. But she's a huge proponent of habit stacking, and so am I. So when I'm really struggling with something, like for example, working out, I try to tie it to a different habit and do them together and then continue to build upon that. So right now I'm really obsessed with Taylor Swift. So if I am having trouble making time for exercise in my daily routine, well, why not just say, okay, I'm going to go for a 30-minute walk tomorrow. And then during that walk, I'm going to do some discovery work on YouTube about Taylor Swift, because that's going to bring me joy in that moment. So I actually did that today. And there's other categories where you can do that as well. Like for me, I wanted to wake up every single day and drink water, a liter of water before I have my coffee. So another tip that I would do there, as opposed to habit stacking, although I would likely try to habit stack that somewhere in my routine, is I bought these. I'm a huge decor person. Like I love interiors. So I was at one of my favorite interior stores the other day, and I saw that they had these really beautiful vases for water that have a cap on the top for the cup. And I put each of those on my bedside table for my husband and I, so that I could put myself in a position every single day. Like I'm going to drink this vase of water every day when I wake up, and I have no excuses because it's right next to me. It's similar to like, you don't want to go to the gym in the morning, so you sleep in your workout clothes or you put them right next to your bed. So it's just creating less opportunities for you to make an excuse.
Right. I really like those ideas, especially the water. So I know that I need to drink more water, so I might do the same thing.
Oh my God, it's so hard to drink water, y'all, but you got to. Moisture is everything.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you so much, Vinny. And I learned, so much today. We always hear the concept of, finding out what your strengths are and your weaknesses, and focus more on what your strengths are. I really liked how you talked about the concept of self-recognition, and also to reach out to others to see, what they say your strengths are. So a lot of the times I feel like the strengths that we see in ourselves, the outside world might see some other strengths in us that we wouldn't have thought. So I think it's really good to reach out to like your close circle and say, oh, like you said, what are my strengths that you see? And then that way, kind of ponder upon them yourself and, work on those as well.
Absolutely. You guys, your friends and family and the people that are close to you know you better than you know yourself sometimes, because we all have blind spots. So obviously, if people aren't being nice, then take it with a grain of salt. But what I have found in my experience is most of the time people are really nice when you go to them in a vulnerable manner and ask them for insight. So take advantage of your network. I mean, we've talked about this before. That is how you're going to level up in your life, is surrounding yourself with community and harboring relationships. And Misha and I are both huge proponents and believers in that. So start with that in your personal life. It doesn't just have to be on a business level.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. And I think, with this, the ultimate goal for everybody is to live, a balanced, purposeful life that, we love. And I always like the concept of hearing, if you're having fun, doing work, then it's not really a job. And I think it kind of ties in to this. And
Absolutely.
thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And thank you again, for sharing the concept of your unique ability. I definitely want to go and see what mine is.
Absolutely. You guys take some time to make your charts and just be self-reflective, right? This is not a perfect science. But there are so many aspects of this that you can avail yourselves to in every aspect of your life. And it's been life-changing for me. I'm still on the journey, but it's been life-changing for me to be a lot more cognizant of like, hey man, is this really contributing towards my goals, or am I doing this for another reason?
Right. Exactly. Well, thank you again.
Of course. We're so excited to chat with you guys next week. We have a guest, Eric Negron, on. He's going to be talking to us about how to negotiate top dollar for your next salary raise. So, or just advocate for yourself in that realm anyhow. definitely recommend you guys tuning in if this is something that you're grappling with or thinking about. He is a wealth of knowledge, and we're definitely excited to share that with you guys.
Yes, we are. We are so excited. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Wine Wednesday, and cheers. And we'll see you all next week.
Cheers.